Swoop's video on Mikey. She's doing a bit about Googling racism for 2 seconds and understanding it because Mikey was being called out for cultural appropriation, and Swoop was at this very awkward dinner with another influencer, and they were talking about both of them being called out for it, and she's doing a little infograph, and she gets to the part where, what was she saying? She was saying white people decided that black people were worse, like on this scale, and they're like stick people. And it was interesting seeing her perspective on it, and it makes sense entirely. And it's the truth. It's no less the truth than what I'm about to say, because humans are complex. Think about right now, everybody having such different perspectives on things, and we're all interpreting the same set of events, plus our very personalized set of events that happen in our own lives where people we know are going through these things with us, or we're going through things with them, and it's like this ladder, and at the top ring is society. Not even, because then there's different societies. The top ring is like, oh, you guys are actually tiny and meaningless. Again, this is not what I came here to say. Okay. When I was in grade 9, we were learning about slavery. We had got to that point in history. It's very weird the way that I don't know about anybody else's educational experience, but we learn history. I feel like around grade 8 or 9, when kids are actually still paying attention, that's when you teach the hard-hitting stuff like World War II, World War I, but we didn't learn that. We were still like, what was I learning in grade 8? About like Rome and things, and it's like, no, save that for the older grades, for the kids who actually care about history. Why are we doing it? It's to intentionally make it less important. Because we're just programmed to be factory workers. And I loved school. I loved all my teachers. Well, most of my teachers, and even the ones I didn't like, I still respected and I still tried to learn from, because if I'm gonna be sitting there for 8 hours a day anyways, I might as well get something from it. Again, not what I was talking about. Okay, her perspective, white people put black people beneath them. Entirely true. But the way I learned in like grade 9, it's something that stuck with me because of the way he explained it. Grade 9 socials, and we were learning about slavery, and you always hear the argument, sidebar, you always hear the argument that when the topic of race and the topic of slaves come up, you hear, well, Irish people were slaves too. And I'm Irish, like, in my heritage, and I won't get into it. I'm a mix of things. I consider myself Canadian, but Irish people are slaves, and they were. Here's the thing. Think of yourself as a slave owner, and you just need bodies to do the work that needs to be done, and the way you treat them is a whole different aspect. Think of yourself as a slave owner. You have work that needs to be done and you need bodies. A black body is a lot easier to spot when they run away, which they'll inevitably do, because nobody wants to be a slave. That's fucked up. Except we're all slaves to life, and obviously different. Obviously different. No one wants to be a slave like they were. And they were slaves longer than they haven't been slaves. It's really just not hard to understand if you're actually thinking about them as people. But I think oftentimes people just only see themselves as people. Well, that was a bunch of rants, and I have no idea if they're gonna make sense until I watch it back, but it was nice just talking.